In today's world, with so much access to media, information and news travels to us much faster. A sensitive mind reaches to it in myriad ways. The images are too stark. It's in the face. One can't escape the brutality, which almost kills little in me. The hope to live is through my painting. I paint hope and optimism, but it's not through beauty. I have images of humans represented as humans. One which anyone can relate to. A viewer can weave his own story into it. I see myself growing. My search of language started in Delhi College of Art. Born in 1970 in a small Sindagi on the northern border of Karnataka, Iranna was born to a humble farming household. He grew up in this remote farm, working at the field and acquiring his early education at Sarang Mutt. The appreciation of religious icons, votive images of the inventively rendered figures of divinities became his early sight of visual language making. One may not see a straight interpolation, but his linguistic shifts certainly assert a series of keen observations he made as a village boy.
हमारे टीचर ने बहुत जोर दिया वाटर कलर एंड ड्राइंग्स बेसिकली बिकॉज that was the academic study and it is a pictorial the kind of composition, and again we are forcing to just draw and make it perfect yourself, something like this is the watercolor which is we used to go and making some paintings at Hampi, Badami and Pattakal, everywhere we used to go, and at least for a month we stay there and we work there and we're just doing the joy of life, definitely we're just doing watercolors and drawings and all cityscape, landscape, even waterscape, anything which is always it is helping very strong. But today generation which is we wanted to looking for that, this is the thing which is help us to play ourselves.
As a boy, Iranna delighted in drawing large chalk figures on the asphalt surface of a new road. And he found his true calling when his guru gave him the freedom to follow his own imagination while decorating a temple.
एक्चुअली मैं वैसे पर्टिकुलर आर्टिस्ट को लेके मैं कुछ definitely there is so many artists in my life which is I always admire, and someone like I am looking something more a painting than the biography. Biography is always teach you a lot, you know, something like when you are in the critical condition, when you are in peak time, when you are all your situation is always teach you the other the legend artist biography, something like one just for example like Picasso. I mean, when he was working as a artist, when he was 20, when he was 30, when he was 35, and what he was thinking and what kind of work he was doing and what you were thinking and what you are supposed to do, and what the today the time and what is the 100 years back time, you know, it is all matters, you know. I learned so many things through the biography and through the work, and I mean I think I can admire there is so many masters like sculptors, painters and western and even American. There is so many artists which is I will always carry them, you know, within my mind. But basically what I learned from them, I don't go with the what the person and what he is and what exactly. I mean, when I see the work, I see only work. When I read a biography, I read a proper biography, because it is, I will connect myself the proper channel. When I see the work, I visualize myself how artists think. So someone like so many artists, which is I think if I carry there is the link big list to I can tell. I mean, the only reason is I learned so many things through work and through biography, through their it's the presentation.
Politically and socially conscious as an artist, Iranna did a series of paintings after his visit to Europe in 1999-2000. He realized that the best of Indian culture and heritage, its jewelry, including Kohinoor, its art, its antiques, are all in London. A man of the soil, as he is happy to be known, his paintings have always been far removed from an overriding postmodern logic. Instead, Iranna uses the idealistic representative language of Indian contemporary art. Recent works by Iranna and years of resistance of human civilization. It's the common man who takes the brunt, and the multiple human forms with no name, no identity in Iranna's sculptural installation are actually the laborer, the commoner, the nobody, who is blind and also innocent. The point of inquiry into his work is not only the new sculptural language, which is certainly a departure from painter Iranna, but also a major difference can be seen in his stylistic change in terms of super real entering his work. A mid-career artist, Iranna has evolved with his language and has been able to decodify his emotions. They have found ways to be simplistically put forward. A self-reiteration which has moved from being just multi-layered panorama. The installation, like Wounded Tool, which was critically acclaimed at Singapore Art Fair, can be mapped as the turning point of his career as an artist.
I think if you look back at Iranna's work over the last 10 years, there's a very strong shift from early concerns with pattern and structure to paintings now that are far more keen on providing political allegories. At the turn of this century, say in 1999-2000, Iranna's works were far more about producing complex surfaces. He was very interested in pattern, so his paintings would typically have speckles, spirals, incredible textural effects, which were wonderful in themselves. And the main concern at that point in his work was to try and see how the isolated human figure could be presented in its isolation, in its fear, in its terror. And formally, it was really his concern at that point to see how that figure could be mapped against concern with abstraction, a gestural abstraction of a certain kind. But if you look at his work now, he takes on big themes with great courage. He looks at the colonial encounter. He looks at the complex syndromes of power. He's concerned with kingship and the precariousness of kingship. He's also looking at memory. He retrieves from the archives of the colonial period or the medieval period. He uses symbolism in an interesting way to suggest the whole narrative of strength and weakness, of power and lack of power. So I think that's really been the major shift in his work, towards an appreciation of larger public narratives which go beyond formal and formalist concerns.
overriding postmodern logic, Prassi, his language of binaries. The crudeness and the expertise employed in execution of the sculpture reaffirms the personalized dialect, wherein he uses the idioms and satire to restore the spiritual ethos lost in the political life. A sense of massive dynamic energy that pervades the surfaces, an energy that is fueled by torment and the struggle against it.
Initially, I was a little skeptical about Iranna's sculpture because it seemed to me that it was developing as some kind of three-dimensional manifestation of what he was already working on in his paintings. But as time has passed, his sculptures have really developed into an independent idiom. So when you look at his sculptures of the last 3 or 4 years, the way in which they address the human condition is distinct from the way he does that in his paintings. And he's able to use the public nature and the encounter nature of sculpture to advantage. Now, for instance, when you look at these ensembles that he's just created of figures kneeling in positions of abject surrender, for instance, or if these sculptures stand by themselves, they don't really come out of the world of his paintings, although they're linked to his vocabulary as a painter. But here he's really using sculpture in its fullest potential as something that the viewer has to literally stumble over, or which arrests the viewer in its power and its presence. So that's been another shift in Iranna's work, from someone who saw sculpture really as an extension of his painting to someone who now treats sculpture as an independent possibility.
I do not paint fantasy and beauty, but that doesn't mean I paint ugliness or pathos. My paintings are about reality. It's about present. There is so much to think global terrorism. I might sound like a person with strong opinions, but yeah, I do believe in individual values. My values are not to hurt someone. It's about tolerance, humanity, which almost seem like a lost emotion, or rather say soul cause. We barter our emotion according to our needs today. Iranna is more than his painting, a social commentator's role, which he might not think as a conscious project, but layered meaning with translucent feature. A simpleton like Iranna has presented a positive image of humanity in front of us. His most recent works are all visions of resistance. In just a glance, one can tell a sense of massive dynamic energy that pervades the surfaces. An energy that is fueled by torment and the struggle against it.
I chose this title, The Dancer on the Horse, for my book on Iranna because it seemed to encapsulate precisely the kind of precariousness that is one of his central concerns. And really the title was suggested by a painting of his which shows a child who's fallen asleep while riding a horse, and the horse has come to the edge of a meadow which really looks like the edge of the world. So this idea of innocence and trust in the face of danger was a very compelling image, and I think that that theme resonates a lot in Iranna's work. So this idea that you might be specifically able to conduct your life or your art in very precarious circumstances is something that I find very attractive about his work.